Good morning, everyone, wherever you are and whenever you're watching this. Glad to have you in worship with us today. So, Psalm 104 is the psalm for today, and I really, really love this passage. I grew up in the middle of nowhere. Most of y'all know this about me. I grew up in a small town. So nature was always kind of maybe more close to me as a young child than it is to people that maybe grew up in a city. And we kind of lived on the edge of town too. So there wasn't a whole lot of houses around us. So I could see the mesas. If you not know what a mesa is, it's a hill that's flat on top, off in the distance. And I could see, I lived in the desert, so there wasn't a lot of greenery like there is here. But I did sort of get this sense of that nature was fairly close. I could go out in my yard and at the time see all sorts of different like animals and stuff because we lived kind of on the edge of town. And I think that sort of instilled in me this understanding of my connection to nature. And as my heritage says, the Celtic heritage says, nature is the fifth gospel. And I think this passage really talks about that nature reflects the glory of God. We don't worship nature as itself, but we see nature as the glory of God and the way that God is revealed to us in the world, and that God cares for the world. And I think one of the things we kind of forget about as more modern people is we don't work in the soil anymore very much. We don't have our livelihood in it. We're not outside all the time doing our work. Our work is phones, our work is computers, our work is books, and we don't really get out and see what's going on around us very often. Because if we are outside, we'll probably have our face buried in our phones. And I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. Technology is awesome. But at the same time, maybe sometimes it prevents us from really seeing the world. And this psalm reminds us of that, just how much we miss when we don't see the creation that God loves, the creation that God is involved with and continues to be involved with. In this passage, God's not distant, didn't make the world and then step away. He's not distant from it. He's in it and involved in it. And I think that's really important for us to remember, especially as our duty to take care of the earth, to make sure that we're doing things that we can to keep the earth healthy, to keep the earth safe, not just for us, but for all of the other creatures that unfortunately we're kind of driving to extinction in a lot of ways, and we want to not do that. So there's plenty of ways that you can get involved with that. There's lots of Christian ecology movements that if you're interested, you can get involved with that. And I'm involved with some of those myself, and I think it's a really important thing. And here's my challenge to you, basically, is if you haven't gone outside in a while, do so. Go for a walk, 10, 15 minutes, tell your parents where you're going. Take your phone with you so you'll be safe. But rather than taking your phone with you, putting your earbuds in, and listening to a YouTube video or some music or something, leave the earbuds out. Put the phone in your pocket and just go for a walk. And when you do, listen. And I know everywhere in Soleo you'll probably hear the interstate, but listen beyond that. What kind of sounds do you hear? What animals are around? How's the wind blowing through the trees? Just take a time to really absorb the world that you live in and think about how God is reflected in it. And I bet he'll meet you there. So we will see you soon. Love all of you guys. Talk to you later.